Hi everyone, my name is Kristina Charles and I am the Administrative Coordinator 3 in Career and Transfer Services. Today marks our third week in our Career Readiness and Professional Development Summer Series, and I will be going over interviewing techniques and later in the video some professional networking skills also. So, what is an interview? An interview is to determine whether an applicant is suitable for a position of employment. Typically, if an employer wants to interview you, this means that you meet the basic qualifications for the position. And the interview is where you go in and sell yourself as the best qualified candidate. This is why within the entire job search process, the interview is the most important, and it is also a screening opportunity for both you and the employer. Most times, we think that the interview is so that way the employer can see if we are a good fit for the company, but typically, whenever you go into an interview, you can also see hands on if the company is a great fit for you. So, let's talk about preparing yourself for an interview. So, the secret to a successful job interview is a sound presentation and adequate preparation. Preparing yourself psychologically for the interview is very important. You may want to try prior to your interview doing a self assessment, which means just analyzing your abilities and interests and your strengths and weaknesses. Your chances of making a positive impression on the employer and interviewer will be increased if you know exactly what you want to do and why you want to do it. Meaning, if you're going in, just making sure you have that confidence of knowing this is the position that I want, and this is why I want it, and this is why I am the best candidate for the job. Be prepared to discuss your past work experiences, extracurricular activities, class standings, hobbies, and interests. Every interview that you will go on, more than likely, they will ask you about your past work experience. And if you don't have any past work experience, if you've only been in college or you went straight from high school to now applying for a position, then you may want to talk about your extracurricular activities, your class standing, your academics, your hobbies. And always be prepared to state why you want to work for the organization. This is a great time for you to do some research and on the position that you're applying for and the company. Most employers love whenever you can go in and tell them something about the company that maybe you found on a website. Maybe it's something that sparked your interest, and as you can say, I love how you handled this situation, or I've noticed the growth in your company since I've went on your website and you signed, or you have you know your keywords are growing, and room for advancement. I just want to be a part of an organization that offers missions, that offers keywords like that in their mission statement. um Review the job description. Be familiar about the details of the position. So, I always say, you want to go and print out or maybe download the job description on your phone. And within the job description, pick out what is it that you actually have experience in and put a check mark on side of it. And let's say, for instance, you don't have much experience in one, then just put maybe like a X or like an exclamation point on side of it. So whenever an employer asks you, you can tell them, listen, I am really great at answering the phones and customer service. However, I don't have much experience using Excel, using Microsoft Excel or Microsoft PowerPoint or Word. This is something that I am willing to work on and that I'm willing to learn. I just noticed that within the job description, I wanted to bring it to your attention before you move forward with me hiring me for the position, and then later on down the line you realize I don't have that experience. So just being honest with the employer also, and then it can also go both ways of pulling out your strengths within that job description. So listen, I am great at answering the phones. I know how to file. I have been commended on my customer service skills. I think all of this is all of the qualifications that you're asking for in a job description, I can provide. Okay. And then practice answering the common interview questions and be ready for a surprise question. So typically, and that will bring me to my next slide of common interview questions. So, more than likely, an employer will begin the interview by asking, "Tell me about yourself." This is when you want to say a couple of words, a quick introduction about yourself. I usually like to say my first and last name, maybe where I'm from, if I am in school or if I've graduated. And if I am in school or graduated or soon to be graduating, what's my major and minor, things like that. And then they may ask you, questions about the position, so are about, again, like your past experiences, in which we talked about on a previous slide, and how well you work with your coworkers. Also, they may ask you about your strengths and weaknesses. I always like to say you never want to give an actual weakness. You want to give something that may seem as though it is a weakness, but actually it is a strength, if that makes sense. I'll give you an example. So my weakness is that I cannot say no. But it also seems like I'm very reliable. To me, it seems like a weakness. To them, they're hearing the word, well, Christine is reliable and dependable if I need her to do something. So notice, it's not really a weakness, it's more of a strength. Okay. And then you also want to talk, they may also ask you, tell me a time when you had when you had to deal with a difficult customer, supervisor, coworker. What was the situation? How did you handle it? You want to watch for rambling on an answer, on a question and answer such as this one. You can easily get tied up in rambling on and on. I strongly suggest for you to tell the experience and get to the resolution quickly. Try not to ramble on too much, because it just loses the employer and it makes it seem as though you're trying to fill in gaps within the story. So pretty much tell the problem and then get to the solution immediately. So the day of the interview. So now that we've prepared ourselves, we've went over the job description, we've researched the company, we looked at their mission statement or their about us on their website. We've already kind of knows, some of the questions they may ask. You already know what is your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and now today is the day of the interview. So this is a quick interview checklist. I strongly suggest for you maybe to pause and take a picture of this slide. You want to always know the name of your interviewer. Usually, if they either give you a call to set up the interview, always ask, and who will I be meeting with on such and such day? Or if they send you an email, most likely it would be in the signature below. Know the time and the date and the location of the interview. These are things that you should know whenever they give you a call to let you know that you've been chosen as a candidate to screen. Always know the time and date, and sometimes it's even best to even maybe, if it's somewhere local, maybe go pass by it just to make sure that you know the route to the interview. If you do not know, please contact the employer that you will be meeting with and just let them know, hey, do you have directions, or pull it up in Google Maps, okay? Have several copies of your interview ready with you. Reason being is because sometimes you may think that you're only interviewing with one person and you can interview with a board of people. So it may not just be Miss Susie that you're interviewing with. It could be Miss Susie, Mr. Mac, the CEO, the CMO. You never know. It can literally be a panel of people, and it's best for, it looks as if you're more prepared if you have more than one copy of your interview. Have a notepad and pen ready with you. Whenever you go to an interview, it's best to take notes. maybe you may leave and you may think, wait, I don't know if they mentioned this, or I don't remember what did they say about, potential dress code. Those are things that you should take down in your interview. And this is also, again, the interview is not only for the employer to screen you, this is to screen the employer to see whether or not this is a good fit for you or not. This is a good way for you to go home, look over your interview notes, and then you'll be able, if they would like to offer you a position, you'll be able to go from there to say, okay, yeah, maybe this does align with my goals and what is it that I am looking for. Have an appropriate outfit to wear. Always dress for success. And I believe that in the future we will do a series or a quick PowerPoint lecture or presentation on dressing for success. But I always like to say, make sure you dress for the position that you're going for. So if you are applying for a position, let's say for instance at a fast food place, I don't expect for you to show up in a tux or a suit and tie and a button down shirt, or pumps and a pencil skirt. You can dress casual. I would say, a nice pair of, either really nice pants. You never want to wear shorts. You never want to wear anything too inappropriate. I would say a nice blouse and maybe, pants. With closed toe shoes. You never want to wear sandals either. And then if you are applying to somewhere, let's say for instance a marketing firm, then that's when you want to make sure you pull out your pencil skirts and your trousers. And for guys, you want to make sure you get your button down shirt, make sure you have a blazer or a jacket also, just very professional. Always plan to leave enough time to arrive 15 minutes before the interview. This gives the interviewer a chance to let you know that you are there, and it also shows them that you are on time and you're punctual. Okay. Always be prepared to ask questions to the employer at the end of an interview. And I'll get to this in just a second, but you always want to make sure you have some follow up questions. You can either think about this in a card, you can have it written down also. You want to make sure you ask the employer, questions I'm sorry, you always want to make sure that you are preparing to ask questions to the employer at the end of the day. You always want to make sure you have questions provided, such as, um, you know, within this role, what is expected of me? Is there anything on my resume that may, cause an issue? Or do you see anything on my resume that can improve? Is there anything that I should improve on prior to getting this position? Just making sure they know that you are interested and that you are listening and you wanting to learn also. So during the interview, So during the interview, you should be prepared to ask questions during the interview, in which is what I almost fumbled over just a second ago. Be prepared, prepared to at least 3 to 4 questions to ask once the interview has asked you questions. Asking questions shows the employer your interest of the company and the position. So, the position, you can always say, could you describe a typical day for someone with this position? What is the extent of authority of the job? Your coworkers, you want to ask questions like, who will be my immediate supervisor? You may also want to ask about, what are the chain of commands from here? Who are people that I'll be working with? And then training. Does the company have an orientation program? How do I become familiar with policies and procedures of the company? What training programs do you offer? And also with COVID, questions that you may ask now is, how did you prepare your staff for for COVID? Did you have to lay any of your staff off? Did you work from home? How did you guys transition from working at a at an actual location to working from remotely. These are questions that you should ask for situations such as COVID-19 that does come up. So now I want to talk to you about the thank you and follow up letter and email. This at one point some would say is optional. I think that it is mandatory. I think also that it shows professionalism and it also shows that you're eager for the position. So the thank you letter slash follow up email is 24 hours after the interview. Typically they would love for you to write it, but I know now it's more of a digital age, so we are using emails. I wouldn't send like a DM on Instagram or anything on like Facebook Messenger. I would most definitely use the email address on file that the employer contacted you from, and you just want to send, very formal. Of course you want to start off with dear, and then consider using Mr. and Mrs. and then their last name. And then your introduction. So you want to start off your letter by expressing sincere appreciation for the chance to interview for the position. Also, communicate your excitement and interest in the position. So then, within your introduction, you then want to use this paragraph also to highlight your skills and qualifications that make ideal for the job. This is another chance to sell yourself again. And then the next paragraph, which is optional, which is to clarify a topic that may have gone poorly during the interview, and to provide additional information that has not been discussed. I would say only use this paragraph if you know that within the interview, like they said, a topic that may have gone poorly. So maybe you didn't explain yourself enough, or maybe you didn't sell yourself enough on using, they say, are you familiar with Microsoft applications, and you said yes, and then there's like a silent awkward silence and they moved on. Well, you may want to go back in and say, you know it came to my attention once I left the interview that you asked me about the Microsoft applications, and I gave you a single one-worded answer, and I did not elaborate on my skills. I've been using Microsoft PowerPoint, Word, Excel, um, applications since, high school, and I'm very proficient in all. Okay. So you may want to go back in and just kind of a save almost. And then your conclusion. So you want to finish by reiterating your appreciation for the interview. You can also mention that you're looking forward to hearing from them on the next step in the hiring process. Consider adding your phone number and indicate that you will be willing to answer any additional questions. I I got this template off of Google. It was a free template. I strongly suggest for you to use this format. I think that it is very straight to the point. You do not want your follow up email to be no longer than about 3 paragraphs, 4 at the most. But most definitely about 3 paragraphs. You don't want to say too much because it's not a second interview over email, but it is just a follow up letter, and always continue to reiterate your appreciation. So that is all I have about interviewing. If you have any questions, please let me know. I know that, while I was going through interviewing some slides, I didn't, some bullet points, I'm sorry, I did not, go over word for word. I usually like to keep things personable. But if you have any questions about anything regarding interviewing, please just email me, Kristina.charles@solac.edu. And also, we do offer mock interviews at SLCC. If you would like a chance to do a mock interview, meaning it would be someone in career services, and then we will conduct a mock interview with you. We will pretend like it is an actual interview, and you will come dressed up with your resume. And from there, we will ask you questions, and then we will give you feedback on how is it that you answered your questions and what it's and room for improvement. And if you would like a mock interview session, please email us at careertransfer@solac.edu. So now we're going to talk very briefly about networking, the beauty in networking. So, what is networking? So let's say you've had the interview and now you've already sent the follow-up email. Once you leave the interview, you have now officially made a contact. Even if it's not, even if it's, you and, the CEO isn't on a first name basis, at least they remember your face. You've made some form of contact, some form of initial um, contact with the employer. So prior to leaving the interview, you always want to ask for a business card. If they don't give you one, or if they don't have one, then you have their email address, or at least you have their phone number, or again, they've at least seen your face. So this gives you a way to now begin your networking in the event of if the position does or does not work out. So, what is networking? Networking is a deliberate activity to build, reinforce, and maintain relationships of trust with other people to further your goals. Okay. So, people trust individuals that they already know, either directly or through another trusted person. This means that you gaining trust with new people is much easier when you have a strong network. A strong network is when you have a connection in all of your areas of interest with people who know who you are and what you want. In practical terms, you build this network by getting to know more people and build trust with them and telling them what is it that you are looking for. So you've already left your interview, and let's say there's 5 people on the panel that interviewed you. Well, now at least they know what is it that you are looking for. So maybe the marketing position did not work out at the moment, but they also know that she did say that she was really great on social media. So maybe the social media manager who also chimed in into the interview and asked you questions and who was very impressed by your interviewing techniques, maybe they may say, well, I am looking for someone on my team as a specialist. So now that is what networking is. Networking is pretty much, sometimes it goes back to the phrase of, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So, how do you begin networking? So, there are several ways. You don't have to do them all, but these are some bullet points. So, you can try joining an organization at your school. I know at SLCC we have IT club, we have drama and debate, we also have gaming club. This is a great way to meet like-minded people. Also, get to know your teachers. Your teachers and professors have associations and relationships in the business world. They have those connects that can, connect you with the right people, and they're able to sometimes vouch for you and say, well, I taught this person, personally, they did well in my class. I think that, they will be a great fit for your company. Adopt a mentor. By associating with yourself with someone in your field, you can gain valuable insight. Volunteer. By working together to reach a goal, you are automatically building relationships. Internships and part time jobs. This will give you a chance to meet professionals in your field while gaining experience also. Leverage social media networking. Use professional sites such as LinkedIn to make new contacts. And I'll talk briefly about LinkedIn in just a second and what is it. Attend professional networking events. Networking events are a great way to meet professionals in various fields. A great way to attend a networking event is that we have at SLCC career fairs that happens throughout the year, throughout the semesters. So this is a great way for you to bring multiple copies of your resume and go to those networking events and making sure that you get things such as business cards from each employer that you meet, making sure that you're giving them your resume. Even if you don't qualify for the position at the moment, give them your resume and say, well, hold on to this for right now, just in case anyone else within your company is looking for someone that my resume qualifies for. Be yourself. You have to be willing to present yourselves to the world. You want to be confident in your ability to contribute to your field. Just remembering, just be your authentic self, even whenever you're talking to an employer. Just be you, honestly. You may find that someone may come before you with a lot of experience, and sometimes it can intimidate you, so you try to make yourself into someone that you're possibly not. I strongly suggest for you not to do that because maybe they're looking for that drive. Maybe that person drive or creativity, and that's something that you have naturally. You want to always be yourself while networking. You don't want to be anyone that you are not. Be memorable also. Show sincere interest in people that you are meeting. Listen and engage in conversation. A simple conversation can go a long way. You want to make sure that whenever you are talking with someone that you're practicing active listening, that you are actually engaging in the conversation and making sure the conversation goes two ways also. You listen and then they will respond. Excuse me, you listen as they are responding to you and then they will do the same vice versa. Okay? Remember names and details about others. Develop a creative technique to remember people's names and write details about them on their business cards after you met them. The best thing you can do is remember a person's name. Just remember how good it feels for someone to remember your name. So you want to make sure that whenever you see the employer or the person again that you're trying to network with, you can say, "Hey Jan, how's everything going? How did your last presentation go that you were super nervous about?" Try to remember details about others because now you're starting to create that personal bond and relationship, that being able so that way they can trust you, and we're building again upon building and gaining the other party's trust. Make an elevator speech. So, an elevator speech is a brief introduction that you have practiced when you've meet individuals. So, this can literally be, and this brings me to my next slide, being able to state your goals clearly. In your elevator speech, you want to be able to go up to someone and say, "Hi, my name is Jan Doe. I am currently a student at South Louisiana Community College. I'm going into my last semester. I am hoping to obtain a marketing coordinator position where I can utilize my creativity and communication skills. I am looking for a growing company, honestly, right now that offers performance based advancement." You want to keep it professional and personable also. You don't want to make it seem as though you've been rehearsing this script in your head. You want to add in more words that make it, just a little bit more personable. Do not just ask for a job ever. Although you may be attending the event to ultimately get a job, it is not a good idea to go around asking if someone is hiring, especially if you just met them. A good way to inquire about jobs is to ask for advice on how to break into the industry. Most people will be kind enough to give the job seeker, which is you, some insightful advice. You never want to walk up to them and just say, "Hey, are you hiring?" or "Hey, can I have this job?" You always want to ask them, like they said, as the slideshow says, you know, um, advice on how to break into this industry. And then if you start off there, you kind of coax the conversation to see where it goes. More than likely, it will go in your favor. You just never want to come off as, oh, he or she just walked up to me and asked me for a job to the employer. So I would like to thank you all for listening to my interviewing techniques and professional networking video. Please let me know if you have any questions. My email address is christina.charles@solac.edu. Up next, we have our panel, which will be the Director of Career and Testing, Ms. Tony Manchin, the Career Services Coordinator, Ms. Kayla Patel, our Career Coach, Ms. Rebecca Heatherwick, and I, the Career Services Admin Coordinator 3, Kristina Charles. We will be live next week to answer any and all questions that you may have throughout our summer series. We would just like to thank you so much for listening into our videos. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to careertransfer at solac.edu. Thank you.